What is going on, everyone? It's your guy, Cole Jackson, back here on Road Graders, brought to you today on the Russell Street Report, courtesy of DNL Tinting. Go check out dltinting.com for all the great services they can provide you and your vehicle. We are going to be diving into the play of Nate Wiggins, a guy that I think is just really up and coming to be one of the better corners in this league. I've been really impressed with the development that I've seen this year, and that's really what we're going to be focusing on is what are we seeing now that we're kind of through 12 weeks, and what specifically is Nate Wiggins still having challenges with? What is he excelling at? Where are we seeing different tendencies in his game? It's been a few weeks since we did a check-in on his film, so that's what we're going to be doing here today. So hit that like button for me if you're excited about what you've been seeing from the young rookie. Hit that subscribe button if you're new here and drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about Nate Wiggins. Before we jump into it, just taking a look at the stats here from this game. 5 catches allowed on 10 targets. He was the most targeted DB for the Ravens by double. So, 10 targets, allows 5 catches for 66 yards. Only 1 yard yak. So it really spoke to how tight he was in coverage, not giving up catch and runs. And then that included also two PBUs on the 5 incompletions that he was part of. So obviously getting his hand on the ball in those situations led to a pretty low uh, yards per target, which is really what we're looking at in terms of efficiency. He might give up 66 yards, but that's coming off 10 targets and 5 catches. So obviously those are going to stack up if you're targeted a bit more. So really impressed with what we saw from him. Let's dive into the tape and get the button up here. Okay. So just before I get too deep into it, when I'm saying the term at the top of the receiver's stem. So the stem of a route is essentially where the break point is. So if you're running a 5 yard in at that 5 yard point where you start to break down and then cut into your in route, that is your stem. So I'm gonna say that terminology a lot. So just to clarify, and right here you can kind of see it right off the bat. This is just how the Ravens corners are playing a bit more in the last few weeks. A lot more off man coverage off the snap. Early in the year, we saw him aligning as sort of a press man corner. Now, he wasn't necessarily doing press jams where he was, coming out Jimmy Smith style, 2 hands on the receiver, that sort of thing. A lot of them were soft releases, but that was one of the biggest tendency breakers because as we're going to see, I think this is one thing he's been really having some challenges with is how to play the stem of the route of the receiver from giving up bigger cushions because that's not how he played at Clemson. That's not really what he was doing early in his rookie year. So I think we're seeing a bit of an adjustment here. And I think that's really important context as we dive into his performance because as you're going to see here, so he's going to be at the top of your screen. He's always playing left corner. So when the ball's going this way, he's going to be at the top. When the Chargers are going the other way, he'll be at the bottom. So he's always going to be your left corner, but top of your screen here. So as the snap comes, you can see right here. So this is one of the rare spots where he's giving up significant separation. And so I think this is one of the areas I'm noticing that he's struggling with. So as that break comes at the stem, he's still kind of backpedaling off of that loose coverage. Now, these are 2 plays back to back. So these aren't in chronological order, to be clear. So these are 2 plays that led to the Chargers field goal at the end of the first half. So that's kind of why I think they're playing so conservative. You can see kind of 3 high here with the 2 corners across the that'd be the Ravens 45-yard line to the left of your screen. And so, they're playing soft, and that's why we're giving up such a big cushion there. Again, this looks like a coaching thing. So that's, going to be charged as yards allowed, but I do think he's being asked to do that. Now, here we get into the play that's set up. So there's about 7 seconds left on the clock here. And you're going to get that deep in breaking route, and Palmer gets right down. I believe that's Palmer. Palmer gets down to set up the field goal. And so this is where, again, I think there's a bit of conservatism. You can kind of see him taking some steps back here. That's been the biggest thing that I think he's trying to adjust to. So you see those steps back, and then at the stem of the route, we're seeing a couple of extra yards of separation that I don't feel like was usually there. And I think adjusting to that has been something that he's had to do throughout this game. Chargers going the other way here, so he's at the bottom of your screen. And so we're going to see him play this a little bit differently as this game goes on. So you can see right here, this is what I always found he did so well. He plays very tight at the stem, and he does that because he'll be susceptible to deep routes and double moves, but he has the speed to be able to turn and run. And so here we're going to see him play aggressive at the stem, and you see him clamp right down on it, but he gets caught going the wrong way. And so he bit. There's going to be a catch there allowed. So that was probably one of the uglier routes that I've seen him play in this. And so that's really what happens. So as the receiver breaks down, he just gets literally caught going the wrong way. And so that's where I think that aggressiveness at the stem of the route is going to lead to plays like this. This is going to be part of that, where he wants to play that so physically and so aggressively. And it does play out normally in his favor. But here we're seeing him try and jump that route, and he tries to jump inside and just gets caught. A lot of separation there, pitch and catch. Did he drop that? Is this one of the ones the receivers drop? Chargers had like 4 drops in this game. No, I think he catches that. I thought that was this Quentin Johnson later, I think he's open, but he drops the ball. So you can kind of see what I mean there. And so keep rolling here. And again, we're taking a look at the stem of that route. And so here's what he does so well. So this is going to be a tough catch made by the Chargers. But again, his aggressiveness at the stem of the route. So as soon as the break comes, you can see his explosiveness as he closes on this ball. And so he's going to stay in phase with that that inside hand. His right arm is going to come through the catch point. And this was just perfectly placed ball by Herbert. Good catch through, physical contact by the receiver. But you can see what I mean with that explosiveness and his ability to play tight at the stem. So that's really what I want to see from him. I want to see a lot of these tight windows that he's, forcing, force them to make tough plays like that. And again, this isn't kind of a Brandon Stevens situation where his head's not back around the ball. You can see he's staying on top of the route throughout this entire rep. So he's on top of the receiver. As he breaks, he's breaking on the ball. And that's going to lead to these PBUs. That's going to lead to, him able to jump routes. Eventually, if you get a quarterback who throws an off throw a little bit too inside, Nate Wiggins is going to have a chance to grab some of those balls. But right here, again, you kind of looked at that route earlier and you see the aggressiveness not pay off. This is why he does it, because he's going to play that stem so aggressively. And so obviously, good catch, good throw by Herbert, but really good coverage by Nate Wiggins on that. Top of your screen again here. And so again, playing a little softer on that, but you can see the break on the ball. So that was QJ having another drop here, but you can see as he's going to get up there, break on that ball. And that's just how he wants to play. And I really, really like the aggressiveness. Put the wrong rep in here. Oh no, I'm looking at the wrong guy. My notes are all off. So here we're going to see again. So you're going to see him stay on top of the route. And again, completely different style than what we've seen from Brandon Stevens, right? Just to show you guys a comparison for a guy we've studied recently. So he's going to stay on top of the route. And when I say on top of the route, basically he's going to stay in that back pedal without turning and running. And so you can see right there, he's in his back pedal, and then he's going to play that again. He's going to play that stem aggressively. Ball's going to go to the left side of the field here against Marlon Humphrey, but you can see how tight Nate Wiggins is able to play those breaks because of his explosive first step off of a break. So as he stays on top of that route, when a receiver goes to make his cut to run his route, he's able to explode on it and move forward because he's backpedaling. And that's what's going to lead to so much success for him. That's what I'm excited about with his development. And you're going to see here, again, he's staying on top of the route, and you see him close there with a little physicality. So again, on top of the route throughout, we don't have to turn and run. And this is where a good example of what I was talking about, where I feel like he was struggling a little bit in this game to kind of find where he is comfortable in this off man, like this cushion he's giving. So he's giving cushion here again. We saw him give up a couple catches, giving that cushion. Here we're going to be a little bit more comfortable, and you can kind of see that first step he makes as the receiver approaches. See right there, he's already taking he's anticipating that break. He's already taking that step up. And so that's where it allows him to play that so physically, take that route away quickly. So really good stuff here from from Nate Wiggins. And then right here, this was a good one. I mean, if Herbert tries to throw this comeback route, and again, we're staying on top of the route, we're giving that cushion, but we're going to be comfortable. And as soon as that break comes, there's that explosive first step. So you can see right here, bottom of your screen, he sees that ball. Herbert's about to throw it, and Nate Wiggins jumps that route. So Herbert throws this high. You can't really see the ball because of the angle, but this ball is basically just thrown out of bounds. And it's almost like Herbert saw him starting to jump that route and just kind of throws it away. And so, again, staying on top of the route and playing the stem so aggressively, he's going to be able to break with his explosive speed. And again, you have to get a quarterback that's going to, try and throw it a little bit too upfield. That's going to lead to those pick opportunities for a guy like Nate Wiggins, who's able to stay on top of the route, not have to turn around and try and play the catch point all the time. So one of the better plays that I've seen, you can just see even in this game alone, we're still trying to get ourselves comfortable and playing that cushion. So we've seen some good reps, some bad reps. And so it's just about finding that consistency, but the potential there is just very, very obvious. Bottom of your screen again. And here you see he's going to play, and this is what I mean by he has comfort in his deep speed. So he's going to stay on top of the route, and then at the stem, he's going to play aggressively and make contact here because he can turn and run with just about anybody. And so he's going to turn and run there, and he will, in a lot of these situations, he's going to leave himself susceptible to having to chase and then having to have his back to the ball and play the catch point rather than staying on top of the route. But that's just what he's willing to give up to be able to be more competitive on those breaking routes. So really good example of here kind of putting everything together. So as he plays that stem where he's anticipating a break here, doesn't come, turns into a 9 route, and so he has to turn and run, but he's comfortable doing that. He did it a ton at Clemson. Here you're going to see him top of your screen in a press man alignment. And this was just more of his game. And you can see that tight coverage throughout. And that's really, I hope we see this mixed a little bit more in. He played off man a lot in this game, and here top of your screen again, he's in that look again. He just looks more comfortable doing it. See the ball comes up here. Wanted to take a look at a couple of these deep routes because I do find on some of these deep routes, even when he was at Clemson, I talked about this in some of his scouting videos, as that ball comes through, his head never comes back around. And he does get a PBU here because he plays the catch point. He does it really well because of his speed. He's able to stay up. And then as soon as Quentin Johnson, right here, as soon as his hands go up, he's shooting his hands through the catch point. So again, very Brandon Stevens-like, but Nate Wiggins being very effective at it. And so that's just something to keep an eye on. And I think this one he turns and runs as well. Yeah. So again, there he is. He's got to turn and run. Ball's going to come up, but he is able to get his head around and peek at that ball. But you can see how tight this coverage is. If Palmer is going to put his hands up at this ball, Wiggins is going to be able to make a play on it. And again, this is that type of, he doesn't mind playing this way. So he's going to stay, like we've been talking about, he's on top of the route. He's going to play aggressively here around the 30-yard line where you usually get a break if it's going to be a breaking route, but he stays with it. And then when he needs to, he's able to turn and run and stay hip on hip. And that's just going to be his game as a pro. And that's going to lead to a lot of those lockdown situations. Top of your screen again. Actually, no, sorry. He's in the slot here. Opposite McConkey. McConkey's in the inner slot. And this is just, he was expecting help from the safety. You can see Ardarius Washington. He's on top of the bolt right here, right around the 50-yard line. He's going to come down. They're going to play cover 1, and the safety's going to come down. Wiggins is going to play this with, very loose, he's expecting the safety there, and you can see Washington reacts late and McConkey makes a big catch there. But he was expecting that safety help. And then this was that play out of zone coverage. So you're going to see him go right off. Jalen Rieger's breaking at the 35-yard line. Herbert's going to find him, and he's just going to step up and lay the boom and play that physically with that another PBU. So that was a second PBU. So that's really what I saw from Nate Wiggins in this game. I was personally really impressed with his game. I thought this was really solid, and I'm really seeing how he's putting all this together. Again, we saw some inconsistencies. We also saw him get a little bit better as the game went. He got tested deep. I thought he held up really well in those situations. And, it's all starting to come together for this kid. Sky high potential. Still hasn't even had his bye week yet. He's 12 games in. But, with what we're seeing from Marlon Humphrey this year, Nate Wiggins' development is going to be quite huge. I think down the stretch, you're going to see a little bit less Brandon Stevens, a little bit more Trey White, and I think Nate Wiggins is going to stay as your lockdown guy at left cornerback. So looking forward to that. If you guys agree, drop a comment down below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button and hit subscribe if you're new here. And thank you to DNL Tinting for sponsoring this video.